What do you think about this? I mean, this cannot be good for Donald Trump.
White House, the Washington Post reports the Trump administration is set to spend at least $900 million, a majority of that for the new ballroom complex, but also...
Welcome back to Top Debate Commentary. Today, we are diving into a jaw-dropping report on federal spending that has reignited a fierce political debate across the nation. Reports have surfaced revealing that President Trump's proposed White House construction and renovation projects have now ballooned to an astonishing $900 million. From massive new ballroom facilities to extensive structural overhauls, the sheer scale of this taxpayer-funded budget is drawing intense scrutiny from journalists, policy experts, and former administration insiders alike. We are breaking down 3 critical sections of this investigation, where Washington Post reporters and former GOP officials battle over fiscal accountability, presidential power, and where taxpayer dollars are actually flowing. Stick around as we analyze every single detail of this massive financial controversy.
Reporting on the ballooning price tag for President Trump's construction projects at the White House, the Washington Post reports the Trump administration is set to spend at least $900 million, a majority of that for the new ballroom complex, but also includes the new helipad and a new visitor screening center. That number is primarily taxpayer dollars, which the president, of course, once said would not be spent on the ballroom. Complicating the money trail, the Post finds the administration is moving some funds through an obscure office called the executive residence, which is normally used for housekeeping and repairs on the residential side of the White House. The Washington Post investigative reporter Jonathan O'Connell is on the byline, joins me now. Jonathan, so just walk us through your reporting on this. How much of this $927 million, according to the reporting by you, is going to projects that could be considered necessary and might have been undertaken no matter who was in the White House, compared to how much is going to President Trump's personal priorities like the ballroom, the new helipad, the Rose Garden revamp, the list goes on?
Oh, sure. I think the White House Visitor Center has been envisioned for a number of years. Previous administrations have talked about it, and there's been some planning around it. The centerpiece of this, of course, is the East Wing, where President Trump would like to have a new ballroom. There have been discussions previously about whether the East Wing needs upgrades or could have a larger ballroom. The issue here really is that he just knocked it down without a plan that Congress had seen and without any funding that Congress had at least intentionally provided for it. So now he's somewhat locked up in court over whether he can continue going because he did this sort of workaround with Congress.
And how much of this, is it known, is taxpayer money, and are there any restraints on how it's actually used?
So this $927 million, Anderson, is the best tally we have. Of that, we can see around $305 million appears to be donations, private donations. And the president has said repeatedly that the ballroom portion of the East Wing will be paid for by private donations. Sometimes he's left out the reality that the rest of the East Wing is going to be paid for by the public. And we can see, again, like these large transfers of money by the budget office that are coming from the Secret Service, from the White House military office, that are, they've been appropriated money by Congress. It's a little unclear what the source of some of them are, but beyond that.
Is there any...
In this opening segment, host Jim Acosta brings on Washington Post investigative reporter Jonathan O'Connell to break down the sheer financial magnitude of the proposed White House upgrades. O'Connell walks us through the newly uncovered document details, revealing how initial estimates have dramatically expanded into a staggering $900 million project list. The discussion centers on the necessity of these lavish upgrades, specifically highlighting plans for a massive new executive ballroom designed to host state dinners and large-scale events. O'Connell explains that while federal property management usually operates under strict congressional oversight, this massive price tag raises unprecedented questions about fiscal priorities. You can see how the visual graphics on screen highlight the ballooning costs, setting up a sharp debate between preserving executive heritage and squandering public funds during economic uncertainty.
With you, obviously, you spent time at the White House in this administration previously. What do you think about this? I mean, this cannot be good for Donald Trump.
Let me just say that it seems like Trump missed his true calling, which was to be first lady or first gentleman, so he could actually take the time to focus on these types of pet projects of decorating the White House. But instead, he's president of the United States. These should not be his priorities, but spending almost $1 billion on this is not what voters signed up for, especially when we're facing an affordability crisis. Voters don't want to see him like playing with these pet projects and designs of the new ballroom and all of these things. And the main issue here is too that he's focusing on this instead of other issues facing our country. He's also stealing taxpayer money to pay for it and funneling it from other funds. And one of those being the Secret Service. He's taking over $400 million in funding that was appropriated by Congress for Secret Service to hire and train new agents. So it's just appalling to me that this is what he's doing. He should be going through the process of getting Congress to appropriate these funds for these renovations. He tried and he failed, and now he has to steal it from other funds for the taxpayers.
And, I think we've seen the result of it. I mean, many times the Trump administration is giving out no-bid contracts to donors and friends of the family, et cetera. We saw how that worked with the reflecting pool. Isn't that what it's called? The big reflecting pool? I mean, you give out contracts to people who are ill-equipped to do the work necessary.
It's not just the reflecting pool. It's the
ballroom.
columns. It's the ballroom. It's also the helipad. It's the Rose Garden.
The golf clubs in D.C.
I mean, there's a huge number of projects here.
I don't know what happened to conservatism. I mean, I remember when Republicans used to be
I don't know what happened to separation of powers. At some point, Congress is going to have to reassert its role in our democracy, but it's not going to happen under the current circumstances. And I also have an issue with his taste. I live in D.C. and all that yellow gold stuff is gaudy. It's tacky.
Now you live in Virginia.
That's true. Thank you. Good point. But
this is a real thing.
I work in D.C.
I don't mean to fact check you.
And no, I sit corrected. But all that yellow gold everywhere, it's tacky. And
and he's also out of touch because it's a slap in the face to voters who are dealing with affordability right now.
Just briefly, Scott, who should replace Caroline Leavitt? Obviously, she is stepping
Scott
down.
Jennings.
And
are you throwing your hat in the ring?
Yeah, well, first of all, you're throwing your hat in the ring. And
will you serve, Scott? Answer the question.
No, look.
Answer the question.
I don't know, but I'll tell you this. Caroline Leavitt has been maybe the greatest White House press secretary in the last 30 years, at least. She's been nothing short of brilliant. She's done it while raising a young family. I think it's great that she's going to go spend time with her family, but I don't know a single Republican in the country who isn't in awe of and in appreciation of Caroline tonight. So Godspeed on your journey back to your family. You've done great stuff.
Do you want the job or not?
Let me help Scott. Democrats are afraid of Scott Jennings becoming press secretary. There you go. Now you got the job.
You guys surprised me of my, Obama renovated the complex, $376 million, which is about $570.
Didn't use as much gold.
I'm just saying, it's not unprecedented for presidents to spend a few $100 million renovating the White House complex.
Well, some presidents have knocked down the East Wing without telling anyone first.
Well, it'll be better when it's done, Josh.
The tension skyrockets in this segment as former Trump White House Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Matthews joins the broadcast and delivers a scathing indictment of the $900 million project. Matthews does not pull any punches, directly accusing the administration of using questionable budget tactics to divert public funds toward vanity construction projects. She passionately argues that spending nearly $1 billion on White House luxuries while everyday Americans face economic pressures is completely appalling. Her status as a former insider gives her critique tremendous weight, transforming the discussion from standard news reporting into a high-stakes accountability clash. Her sharp commentary exposes the deep rift within conservative circles over fiscal responsibility, leaving the panel to grapple with the ethical line between necessary security upgrades and excessive executive indulgence.
The Washington Post has a really smart story out. Speaking of Secret Service needing to keep the president safe, they're reporting that the Trump administration is planning to use millions from Secret Service funding to pay for the construction of White House projects like the ballroom, the helicopter pad, so on and so forth. The Washington Post says the administration planning to spend at least $900 million, $500 million of it coming from the Secret Service and White House military office. I know that's not how Congress appropriated it. Sure, yeah. OMB can do a lot of things, it turns out. There's a lot of gray area there, and they've figured all that out. What's your read on it?
Well, first off, the reason OMB can figure that out is because Congress is unwilling to exert its own authority.
Yes.
That's the key. And the founders of the Constitution of this country always assumed there'd be somebody like Donald Trump that would come along. They never assumed that Congress would so willingly give up its power. What they're planning to do, I'm guessing, is to use this budget and then come to Congress later and say that they have to worry about security of the president and everybody else, and they need more money to cover that. And Congress will be like, well, sure, we want to keep the president safe. Now, also keep in mind, they have pulled Secret Service protection and other protection from former administration officials. They did this all within like the first month. You think of John Bolton and others, Mike Pompeo, they pulled protection from them, even members of their own administration. They play games with this. And I think Congress needs to stand up and say, no, you can't do it. And if Congress does that, they can stop it from happening. That won't happen.
Yeah, fingers crossed, though. Sure. I saw what you're doing there. It's a super important point. Don't blame OMB, don't blame Russ Vought, don't blame the administration. They're doing what they can because Congress is abdicating their responsibility.
In the final section of the report, former Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger breaks down the precise financial machinery and administrative loopholes being used to fund these massive construction projects. Kinzinger explains how executive agencies can quietly reallocate discretionary funds from broad federal construction budgets into White House renovations without requiring immediate explicit congressional approval. He warns that bypassing standard legislative oversight sets a dangerous precedent for executive branch spending, regardless of which political party holds power. This analytical breakdown gives viewers a clear look inside Washington's financial maneuvers, showing how vast sums of money can be shifted behind closed doors. That wraps up our deep dive into this massive $900 million White House renovation story. If you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments below, and like and subscribe to Top Debate Commentary for more daily political analysis.